Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Ball Sports Show, a discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan Janes, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones. Welcome into the All the Ball Sports Show for this Wednesday evening, 13th of November. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, Vance Ballou is in the house.
Thank you. I'm that well.
Glad to have you.
Well, thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Hey, our special guest for tonight is Nick Campbell. He is the Columbia Central High School basketball boys men's head coach.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to say boys to men. I mean, you know.
I understand. Good band. It was a good band back a few days ago.
Right.
But hey, Coach Blue's here, so he's the real guest. He's the real
No. He's
sorry, celebrity guest.
no,
Celebrity guest.
No, he's our co-host and
Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
HOFer.
Absolutely.
No comment.
Yeah, I just realized what it sounded like when I said that, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I do.
But he don't have hair, Dan.
That's true. That's true. No hair. Hey, top of the show, I want to mention that coming up on Monday, December 2nd, will be the Main Street Christmas Parade. And Janes Media, of which I'm just the voice of Janes Media. I have nothing to do with Janes Media, except I gave birth to the man who runs Janes Media.
Did you give birth?
Yep. Yeah. Bet it did.
You sired.
Thank you. It will be broadcast live on Murray County Now. Sponsorships are available, so contact Ross Janes at Janes Media. And the broadcast starts at 7 o'clock. You can watch it live on Murray County Now. Jingle Around the Square. So that'll be coming up on Monday night, December 2nd, starting at 7 o'clock. Just want to put that out there, so in case there's anybody who wants to give him $1,000 or $2,000 for sponsorship.
Is the route changed for the parade?
The route has changed. My understanding is, now I could be wrong on this, and if I am, I apologize in advance, but my understanding is the lineup will be on North and South High Streets.
Okay.
And they will converge at about the Methodist Church and the Presbyterian Church and then go downtown.
Okay.
So, because West 7th Street, if you haven't been through West 7th Street in downtown Columbia, it's an absolute mess.
Absolutely no way.
$6.2 million project for 3 blocks of
And
Columbia.
it's going to take about 3 years to complete.
Oh, at least that.
Yeah.
At least that.
It just depends on how long the construction guys want to keep our guys working.
Yeah, and 5 front end alignments on my truck. I mean, it's avoid it at all costs. Use 6th or 8th, but don't go down 7th. Just avoid 7th altogether. If you need to go to the post office, go on the back way. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, Nick Campbell. So you dressed up and you went down to Lincoln County for the district meeting down there, and you stood in front of all the coaches. And by the time the district meeting was over with, Columbia Central High Lions were picked to be number 1 in the district.
Yes.
Suddenly, you walked out of there with a target on your back.
I think we came in with the target on our back, being kind of underdog last year and coming out of the tournament, winning it, getting hot down the stretch with the team that really didn't have any expectations last year because we were young, really only one returner. Talking about last year's team. But this year we knew, having most everybody back, having to replace 3 seniors, that, there are some expectations. We're not going to run from them. We're going to, we talked about them, and that's what we want to do. That's one of our goals, is to win the district. But it's a long way away. It doesn't start till middle of February. So we got a long ways to go. Actually started practice last Monday, first official practice. We've had it. How many days is that? This is Wednesday. 8 days of practice, 1 day of scrimmaging yesterday. Practices are great. Kids are getting after each other. We've got about 15 guys that are pretty good, so it's very competitive. You know how competition goes, Coach. The more you can compete, the better kids get, and the more it pushes people. Competition pushes people. So
Now, you came to us from Lawrenceburg.
I did, yes.
Lawrence County, Columbia Central, always a big rivalry. Lawrence County High School takes their basketball serious. What made you decide to come to Columbia Central?
Oh, man, I bet I've answered that question 100 times. Columbia Central is very unique. They have very good athletes every single year. Seeing that at Lawrence County was always a intriguing idea. I actually never thought I'd get the chance to. It came open. I never thought I would get an interview, never even thought I'd get a call. And then I had already told Coach Clark at Lawrence County, I said, man, I hadn't heard from anybody, not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Well, I get a call and have an interview, goes well, have a second interview. They ended up offering me the job. And people say, well, how are you going to convince people from Columbia that you're the guy for the job, or, that you're not going to jump ship? Well, I left home to come to Columbia. So I think that gained some trust right out the gate. I'm a player's coach. I have a great relationship with all the players. I don't know, man. Columbia is always very intriguing. The history of men's basketball at Columbia Central is probably second to none in the Middle Tennessee area, going back to Coach Colley, Coach Lake. They did a great job building that, and we're just trying to get it back to where it was.
The one thing I can say about Nick Campbell is that, well, he and I have a mutual friend.
Yeah, let's not give him any.
We're not going to. I'm not going to give him any kudos. But we have a mutual friend. But the thing about you, you're a very personable guy from the day I first met you, and shook your hand and introduced who I was, and you introduced who you were, and I said we've got a mutual friend in Daryl Boston, and from then on, I mean, you are one personable guy. And I've seen that with other folks as well. A lot of coaches are not like that. A lot of coaches would have a difficult time coming from Lawrence County to Columbia Central because they are such big rivals. But you seem to just slide and fit right in, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like any situation I'm in, I can kind of fit into anywhere. I don't really want to be the person that gets all the attention, but I feel like I can come in and create conversations and create friendship wherever I go. I am a leader, but I don't want to be a leader out there that's like one of those guys that are on TV, whatever, causing attention to ourselves. It's all about the kids when it boils down to it. And what Coach will say, if you'll run through a wall for them, they'll run through that same wall for you as well. And that's kind of how I want to coach. I don't yell and scream. I did have to yell and scream Friday at practice because it wasn't going very good. Our attitudes were down. But when I do yell and scream, it gets their attention and they get going. The kids are great. I hadn't had any issues at all with the kids, no issues with the parents. So it's been great so far. And it's hard to believe that this is already season 2. Feels like yesterday I was getting introduction to be the head coach.
So you don't want to do the Calipari brush off?
No, I'm not going to do that. No.
If anybody has seen that on TV, he gave a complete brush off. He shook hands with the guy.
But he didn't look at him. No.
I don't even think he wanted to shake hands with him, honestly. But no, that's not me. Hey, if you beat us, I'm going to say congratulations. And if you beat us, I'm not going to say it was our kids' fault. I'm going to take ownership, and I'm going to tell them that, hey, it was my fault. I didn't have the guys prepared. But if we win, it's because of them. It's nothing to do with me because we don't win games. Honestly, it's Coach knows it's players that win games. But I will take responsibility if we lose. Like yesterday, we scrimmaged. We rebounded the ball just awful. We haven't worked on any rebounding drills. So I told them, hey, guys, that's on me. So guess what we did today?
Yeah.
Rebound drills. So and they knew that's what was coming. But I also think if you're a coach and you own stuff to your players, that gets you a lot of respect from them. So you can't say, hey, you're terrible at rebounding, and guess what? We haven't done any drills. You can't expect a kid to be good at something that you don't practice. And also me and Coach talked about this. I like to give kids some time off, time away from me, time away from the gym, because I think that gives them a little bit of hunger and want to come in to work and get better. If you're in the gym all the time and you're riding them about, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this, they're going to just tune you out because it's all negative.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give them some time away and they get that hunger, hey, I want to get back in the gym. It's been 2 or 3 days. My legs are fresh. I'm ready to play. It's a mindset. You've got to get these kids wanting to get into the gym, wanting to get better, wanting to be around their teammates, wanting to build the program for the kids coming behind them.
Have you noticed a shift in the culture of kid coming up that wants to play basketball or doesn't want to play basketball? And do you give them an option of either we're going to do it my way or highway?
No, I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to that. My way is definitely a player system. I mean, we do what we're actually watching VCU. We play a lot like VCU. We get up and pressure the ball. If you're open, you can shoot it. If you defend and rebound, I have a little bit longer string with you on the offensive side of things. So no, I don't think that's an issue at all. I feel like I'm a player's coach. I haven't had any problems with attitudes or anything like that at all. So
good deal. So who do you open up with?
We open up actually a week from tomorrow at Franklin High School.
No, you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
No one wants to go to Franklin High School.
So we've gotten Franklin High School back on the schedule. Before I got here, that was a big rival. They hadn't played in a while.
Man, I'm telling you, for years and years and years, it was the rivalry.
It was a bloodletting.
The only one that was different was when we used to play Mount Pleasant.
We actually scrimmaged Mount Pleasant last night.
Did you?
Yes. So didn't work out where we get them on schedule this year, but we did get to scrimmage them last night.
Now I will date myself. Here's a story for every gray hair you see, boys and girls. That back in 1970, when Lee Fowler was a senior, and you had Jimmy Minitry, you had Ricky Miller, and all those players, which were phenomenal players. You would go to Mount Pleasant, and you could not get a seat. It was standing room only. And matter of fact, fire department guys would come and look at it and go, we're not bothering these guys. I mean, it was to the point to where
it would have been a riot if they tried to
exactly. Could you try to take the ball out of bounds? You couldn't,
right?
Because you couldn't get past the people standing up watching. And it was man, the rivalry between Columbia, Mount Pleasant, and Franklin, and all these was incredible.
Yeah, I remember. We're also in the process of trying to get Giles County back on the schedule because I know
that'd be great.
There's been a lot of good games between Giles County and Columbia over the last few years, long time history of that. But Mr. White was telling me I hired Tyler Smith, who played at Giles County, and played at the University of Tennessee as an assistant coach, and whenever he played, he said that you had to get there at the start of the JV boys game to find a seat. He said at 4 o'clock there would be lines at Giles County around the gym. That's what we're trying to create now. We want crowds to be like that, and the better the atmosphere, the better it is for the kids. And we feed off the crowd. We actually, Mr. Baxter is bringing the pep band out this year for a few games. So I think they're coming to 5 games. So that'll create a little better atmosphere as well. Right. So we had great crowds last year for our games. We cannot complain about that. Very good crowds for our games.
Because Lawrence County and their band, pep band is there every home game, right? Aren't they there for that?
Yes, they are. Most every game they are there, right by the student section. So it's a great atmosphere. Yeah. We're trying to create a great atmosphere for our student athletes, the students that come to the game, and just everybody that comes. We want to do more than you pay your $8 and come and watch a basketball being bounced for 3 to 4 hours. We want it to be an experience for players, fans, little brothers, little sisters. We want it to be exciting for people to come to a game at Columbia Central High School.
Well, we always had pep bands back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a big part of it. So.
Always enjoy the pep bands. Always enjoy the pep rallies because the pep bands the pep bands are live now.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was like a 5 or 6 piece band that was a pep band, and it was pretty awesome. I enjoyed that a lot.
It was really a fun experience.
It was. It was a fun experience. Back in my day, I remember the pep bands.
The basketball had laces.
That's right. Yeah, it did.
One of the things that really interested me over the years, I played in the 70s, mid-70s.
Oh, man.
So I'm dating myself. But the way we were coached.
You dated yourself.
Yeah,
well, that's interesting.
Yeah. The way we were coached up.
I ain't going to say it. I'm going to let it go.
Now you see all the coaches on the sidelines doing all the gyrations and
Right,
everything. They look like
absolutely,
a baseball coach,
Absolutely.
or something like that. Well, Moorlanders always had us, our point guard called the plays.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to recognize what it was in, and we could change out. The only thing we'd get from him would be he'd hold up wanting us to run, say, number two. Number two would have like 4 or 5 options,
Right.
Depending on what he was seeing going out. Are you kind of like that?
Absolutely.
Or you,
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't call a whole lot of plays. We've got 3 or 4 kids. Last year we had 2 or 3 kids that I would say, all right, you're going to call this. Whatever you run, I'm cool with. Because I think if they're all the time looking over their shoulder like, what's coach want us to run, they're not playing. They're worried about me more than what's going on the court. Also, defensively, I've gotten to where I don't call any defense at all. I let the kids on the court decide what defense we're in, because if they start trapping and they're playing man-to-man defense and that doesn't work, well, guess what? That's on them, because that's what they wanted to be in. Now, if I see something like, hey, this defense is working for us, we're not going to go away from it, or, we need to do this, I'll do that. But, at a free throw line, I don't want them looking over their shoulder and be like, hey, what do we have to do? It shows great growth in a kid if you can be at a free throw line and he says, hey, guys, we're in 31 defense, instead of, hey, coach, what are we in? That means a kid is taking over the team. And if you can get kids to take over teams, you're going to be a lot better if it's player-led as far as instead of coach-led. But we do run plays where it has 4 or 5 options off of, and we're really reading the defense off of that. We're not going to try to run 2 minutes off the clock. We're trying to get up and down. If we shoot a 3, we're putting 5 people on the offensive board to go get it and finish it. And then we're going to press.
But really, isn't that what practice is for anyway? Because you're instilling in them in practice.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you got to do during game time.
Right, absolutely.
Because yelling at them at game time is just they're going to seize up on you.
Yeah, and everybody says you want to make practice harder than games, but you also want to not program kids, but get them thinking in a way that
Right.
you are thinking. So if you can get your point guard or your 2 guard or even your post player, hey, if we got this look, or if I run a screen with a point guard and we get a switch off, I've got a smaller guy. Well, I don't need coach to say, hey, I'm going to go post. If I've got a smaller guy and I'm a post player, I'm just going to go automatically post him. Or if I'm a guard and I've got a bigger kid guard me, I don't have to look at coach to run another play. I can just say, hey, you go to the corner. If your guy helps, I'm going to kick it to you for a 3. If he doesn't, I'm going to go shoot a layup because I can take this guy off the dribble. We run a very player-friendly system, and in that, I give the players a lot of freedom to call offense, defenses, to play with some freedom, but also to lead other people, not just looking over the shoulder at an adult or the coach to lead them all the time. That's how you develop players and how you develop young men, turn them into leaders.
Well, that's what happened with coaches, football players. A lot of times the coaches would not be there when practice started, and they would already be on the field. They would already be up in the practice working out before the coaches got there.
correct. That's the other thing. They didn't want us to think,
Right.
You wanted it instilled, and you remember back in 2010, Howard would let Trey D call the defense.
They did. And then what Coach is talking about, I know it's his goal. He's creating a lot of ownership in the team by providing those opportunities for them to make decisions, lead various things, and then he gets the outcome that he's talking about. People that are prepared for life. They know how to make decisions. They know how to put the pressure on themselves to come through and work in a team and all that stuff. So that coaches are obviously instilling a lot of outstanding characteristics for his kids, and you can see how last year they went from not being favored to actually winning the tournament. So outstanding, Coach.
Yeah, it was. We had some younger kids really step up last year that are a year older this year that are going to be that much better. But you also too, if you yell and scream every single day, kids get numb to that. Well, here goes Coach again. He's getting mad at us. He gets mad at us every day. So
Sounds like when I was growing up.
Yeah. I agree. That's still to fans an overrated thing, that coaching is yelling and all.
Yeah.
all that. So it has its time and its place. And for some personalities, it's more often than others. You know, people can make different things work, but just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're coaching. What are some of the strengths that you expect your team to have this year, and what are some of the things you're going to be working on to improve?
I think our number one thing is our depth. We've got with the football kids coming back now, we got a lot better today. The football team had a great game at Beach last week. Tough game, tough loss, but we got 3 kids today back from football. Carter Sidlowski, Demetrius McCoy, and David Bailey. Those 3 guys are playing. They're also way bigger than anybody else that we had on the court.
Right.
But I gave them a couple days off after football. You know, we scrimmaged yesterday. I didn't really want them to practice on Monday, just to give them a little bit. But we got tremendously better today just because we got a lot bigger. You know, before that, our biggest –
I mean, you got immediately
Yeah,
bigger
we
with
got way
Sidlowski
bigger.
and Bailey.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Because before them, I think DeQuavius Mitchell may have been our heaviest player at like 170.
Yeah.
And Carter Sidlowski about, I think he said today, weighed like 278. And David Bailey's probably –
He's what, like 6'6"?
Who's that?
Sidlowski.
Yeah, he's big. He's a big old rascal. He said, "Coach, you got an extra practice jersey? I picked up a large." I said, "Yeah, we'll find you. You ain't fit in that large."
Done rip the sleeves out.
So, yeah, our depth will be one of our strong suits. Speed. We're going to have to get better at rebounding, but that's going to come, you know, as we work on it. Our scoring, we scored 75 last night in 2 20-minute running clock halves. So I mean that's putting the ball in the basket with probably 10 or 12 missed layups. You know, it's early. Your timing's off. You're used to playing against each other in practice, but when you get somebody else out there, it's a little bit off. And also we haven't been playing with those 5, 6, 7 dudes that were on the court because we've been mixing it up in practice with some younger guys, trying to develop chemistry with other people, trying to develop some players. You know, I don't mean this disrespectful, but you don't want to put your best 5 against who you think maybe we're bottom 5. Ain't nobody getting any better than that. You've got to create that competition for everybody to get better. You know, as the season gets here, we'll start mixing those 5 in with, you know, our next 5. But we have, I'm telling y'all, there may be some games that we play 13, 14 kids.
Wow.
And, you know, not the Coach Colley system, you know, 5 in, 5 out. We're not there yet, but we are going to get after people. We're going to play a lot of different people because you never know. You know, I may be playing bad one game. Coach may come in and he play really well. And, well, the next game I may play well and he may not play as much. Well, that's just how it is when you have that many kids that can play. You know, and everybody's been great so far with attitudes. Hadn't had any attitudes issue, no pouting. We try to stay with positive energy because positive energy is going to take us a lot farther than negative energy is going to.
You expect to have several 3-point shooters?
Oh, man. How many people we got on the team? You know, everybody thinks they're a 3-point shooter now.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly – We've got about 9 or 10 guys that I feel comfortable shooting a 3-ball.
Really?
Probably not
Goodness gracious.
Probably not David Bailey or Carter Sidlowski, but everybody. I mean, and I say that, but those 2 guys, if they're left open, I mean, they've got great touch at the top of the key. I mean, they can knock a shot
remember
down.
Bailey from last year's got a soft touch.
He does, very soft.
Well, that's really why I asked that question because what I was thinking about. I mean, if you got some 3-point shooters mixed in with those physical guys, that could be quite a combination.
Yes, we're. I mean, we shot a ton of threes last year, and we're going to shoot more this year. But really, one reason why we're going to shoot a lot is, you know, the game's changing. You know, if we shoot 30 or 40% from 3, then you're going to have to shoot 60% from 2 to keep up with us.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we miss 25, 30 threes a game, we're going to go get 12 or 15 offensive rebounds. And, you know, we got team goals this year. I hate to go back to him, but Coach Colley did this. You know, we want to hold opponents to 50 points a game. We're trying to score 68 points a game. We're trying to limit ourselves to 12 turnovers a game, but we're trying to force 15. You know, we're not giving up 8 offensive rebounds, but we're trying to get 15 offensive rebounds. Okay. It's just stuff like that, like in-game kind of checklist. You know, and football's got the same thing. If you do these things, penalties in football, you know, stuff that's going to set you back. But if you do these things well every night, you're going to have a chance to win. But that's another thing that you can be competitive with. Like in practice, you keep up with that stuff. We keep up with, instead of scoring, we keep up with how many turnovers you have during practice and how many offensive rebounds you get. And that's kind of how we do our running, or how we keep up score. Losers run, but it's not always how many points you give up. If you out rebound the other team, most of the time you're going to win. I mean, if you take care of the ball, most of the time you're going to win.
Who are your assistant coaches this year?
Scott Tillman, who's been around Columbia Central for a long time, or around Columbia for a long time. He'll be an assistant coach. He's been a great asset for me, just knowing Columbia and knowing people in Columbia. And we're really excited about having Tyler Smith on the staff. Mm-hmm. I think it was the top 50 mid-state players that came out, he was in the top 15.
That's a big lick right there.
Yeah. I'm not sure if our kids really realize how fortunate they are to have a resource like him. Dude knows so much about basketball, knows so many drills. He's kind of our defensive coordinator this year because he teaches angles way better than I teach angles. He knows how to get people in help where it looks like that driving lane is closed up and they can't drive and they got to kick it. And when he talks, it's, you have to listen because he has experience at the highest level. He played professional basketball for 9 years overseas. Unbelievable guy. He's been a great asset to our program. So we're very fortunate to have him.
Well, where did you get him?
It's a long story. I tell people we played against each other in high school, but we really didn't. He played, and I sat the bench and watched him. Giles County and Lawrence County was a big rival, and he was a grown man whenever we played. He was a senior, and I think he came to our place and scored like 47 one game. So it was unbelievable. But long story short, he was going to help with the high school team at Giles County, and it didn't work out. And he was looking to coach, so I contacted him, and everything just kind of fell into place. And now here he is helping us. So kudos to us. Yeah, it's awesome. It worked out very good. Timing was perfect. One of those things you really, if you try to do it, you probably would have messed up. But it just kind of
so do these kids comprehend that somebody that big is actually coming in and what does this guy know and also the kind of stuff. I mean, he doesn't project their resume.
No,
obviously.
He does not. No, he does not.
But does he? How well does he project the knowledge of what he does?
Yeah, if he butts in, everybody listens because he doesn't really butt in a whole lot. He's more of like a one-on-one coach, but he'll stop a drill and say, "Hey guys, this is where we need to improve on. You've got to be in help here. You need to stay in the corner and all that stuff." But when he first came on board, 3 or 4 of them recognized the name. Mm-hmm. Not many of them if they were Tennessee fans, but I made all of them go home and like YouTube him and look him up and check out his bio. And I think
assignment.
Yeah, I think it was during the summer. So, I mean, it was good stuff. And I think they realized when they punched in Tyler, and when you go to Google, Tyler Smith comes up. I mean, yeah, you're pretty big time if you don't have to finish typing your name in Google. So I think
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, my name's not even on Wikipedia. So
and I believe since you brought him in as a coach, he's now a teaching assistant.
Yes.
So he's at Central.
Good deal.
He's in the building all day long. So that's he's great for our school, not just our basketball program.
Absolutely.
Joining us for the first time this year.
It's hard to believe.
Is Ty Cobb, our co-host, and I'm so glad he's with us. Now, the very first show that we did, he couldn't join us because we obviously were in Crossville when we did that. When we did that show,
True.
One of the highest rated shows we've ever had, as a matter of fact. Yay, go Eddie! But how've you been?
Well,
Ty
I got
Cobb?
a warm welcome tonight. As soon as I sat down, my good friends Chip and Eddie Bobo got up, so I get the message.
We're pizza guys.
No, they're pizza guys.
So
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Good.
It's cold outside. I know that, and I'm not going to say it, but I had to come see my favorite coach and get a big roll tide after Saturday.
Oh, that's brutal.
We were going to bring that up. We're 30 minutes into
I
the
just
show,
wanna
and
know-
I
I want to know.
Still comes up, man.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
just want to know one thing because it kind of bleeped out other night. My wife in the room. What did Ed Ogeron say in the locker room?
He made
You gonna have to
a.
say it.
I don't know how.
derogatory.
Yeah, derogatory.
He didn't want that to get out.
Made yeah.
He didn't want that to get out, but it got out.
No, it didn't. He made an enthusiastic description or verb of Alabama.
Oh, really?
He was fired up, wasn't he?
He was. I haven't heard. I've just heard of reports of it or whatever.
But he was seriously. He was disappointed it got out because he's had
it
a
was,
press conference.
Who's
yeah.
going to think it's not going to get out in this day and time?
Well,
think
that's
he thought-
true. It was in the
Locker room talk.
private locker room moment. and of
Well,
course
but we
somebody
all
recorded
know
it.
that
Yeah.
there are no private locker room moments
Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure he regrets having said
No,
that.
he doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he does. I think to a point. I think he just wished it. He said what happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room.
Well, I
He's
don't
addressed
disagree.
it with his
I don't
player.
disagree with that. But you know, this day with phones and everybody's being recorded at some point, at some time. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well,
but
he did liken it to being at the dinner table. That when you're having a conversation with your family at the dinner table, it stays at the dinner table.
Never did with my family.
No, I went through the whole dang house.
but I will say, and that hadn't been said many times, Coach, that LSU was the better team. But
yes.
but Alabama's had some injuries. I mean, they've had a tough year with injuries as well. But
Yeah,
they've always got talent too. So
yeah, and LSU deserved to win the game, no doubt. But Alabama got injuries where they didn't need to have injuries.
Right.
You know, they had one returning middle linebacker. He got lost in second week of practice, and they had another inside linebacker that would have started next to him. He got hurt too, and they both are going to miss the whole season. So that's why they have two true freshman linebackers, and
But
freshman.
what about LSU's quarterback?
He played really well.
Yeah, he played lights out.
especially when he had to. You know, he had a little, whatever you want to call it, not his greatest part there in the third quarter, and he really rebounded well. Had he not rebounded and played
might have been different.
really well in the fourth quarter, then LSU might not have won.
But everybody made a big deal about his jump and throw. I didn't see that big a jump that he made. I mean, it's, big deal.
Yeah, somebody in the pros this week did that too.
Mahomes.
in the-
Yeah,
Mahomes.
Kansas City.
That was a lot more impressive than the Burrows. But I think what that was so impressive for LSU is he just kind of ran up
Yeah.
in the pocket and the safety come up and he just kind of T-bowed it and went for the touchdown. But
Did you just say Tebow?
yeah,
Yeah,
he jumped up and threw it, but it just
okay.
wasn't for a 3-yard touchdown. It was for a
thinking-
70-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Just the word Tebow just chills up my butt.
You know, quarterbacks used to do that in the 40s and 50s all the time. It was no big deal, and actually coaches cut it out, because,
Possibility of injury.
well, I think mostly once you leave the ground, that's it. You're probably, if you don't throw it, you got to throw it for whoever you jumped up in the air to throw it to. So
Yeah.
your options are
That's the old
eliminated.
basketball. Don't jump in the air to make a pass,
Right.
Because
Yep.
nothing good's going to happen because you
Yep.
got to come back down or you're going to
Yep.
turn it over most of the time.
Have you taught? Now this is a question for Coach, and I've seen it happen, and we've all seen it happen a million times, where you get the rebound and you come down and go to the floor with it instead of putting it right back up. That is something that just drives me nuts because there's nothing good going to come from that rebound.
You're right, but I don't know. I guess it's just natural instinct for kids to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're going to dribble it and go back up and dunk it, I'm okay with that. But if you're not, just keep it up there and just
Right.
go up and finish it.
Right.
Yeah, nah, I don't. I'm not big on dribbling right there. I don't like kids to just catch the ball and dribble it anyways. I'd
Yeah.
rather you catch it, slow down, because when you have the ball, you're like the quarterback. You're in control of everything. So if you slow down, then everybody else is going to slow down. But if you catch it and you go crazy with the ball, everybody else is going to go crazy.
Right.
So everything that we're doing right now in practice is half court wise. It's no dribbles when you catch it or one dribble, and then you got to give it up. That's just kind of how we program kids not to be so reliant on a dribble, because you don't have to dribble 100 times
Right.
to score. But they see Steph Curry and all these dudes doing in the NBA, but if you can dribble and
Yeah, but
shoot.
the NBA is a whole different animal.
Yeah, but
You know
everybody,
that.
that's what everybody watches, so that's
Yeah.
what they want to be like. So we have to kind of program them and remind them, like, hey, you don't have to dribble that many times to score. If you'll move without the ball, you're going to score layups.
How
get
many
wild
of your
shots.
kids have played together in pickup games or neighborhood games?
I
or-
think quite a bit because I think we've got 3 that play on the same AAU team, and then I know they go to the rec a lot. And what we tried to do in the preseason was when we've had open gym, we just shot for 30 minutes, and then for the next hour and a half, we just played pickup, and that was 3 times a week, so quite a bit. I'm not big on doing drills in August and September because
Right.
I think that's when kids start hating coming to the gym.
But do the skills they pick up playing with each other?
Oh,
does
yeah,
that
it-
roll over into the
Yes,
regular
it does.
game time?
Absolutely. Yes, it does. Anytime you can hang out with somebody or play pickup with them, you learn what they can do and what you can do together, and you kind of get a feel of, hey, they're going to be doing this at this certain time, and I'm going to be doing this. So it's just anytime they can play pickup together outside of what we're doing, not really in the season. I don't like for them to play during the season anywhere else, but anytime they can play with each other outside is always good for the team.
Good deal. Well, I've mentioned December 2nd, Murray County Now. We'll be downtown just next to Taps Off Main and broadcasting our Christmas parade.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is time.
Yeah.
I mean, be here quick. Hard
So
to believe.
the
Time
parade
is
route is going to be North High, South High
shorter
to
this year.
downtown.
Yep. You'll see a lot more people in that area because the parade is shortened this year due to the West 7th project.
No,
but
it's
we
the World War II bombing run.
And we expect a lot of people around the courthouse, so the parade to come around the courthouse and kind of exit there at Woodland Street. And
Well, let me ask you this, Ty Cobb, chief of the Columbia Fire Department. Are you having to make runs differently with fire trucks to avoid West 7th Street?
no, there's one thing I'm proud of at the City of Columbia is we always plan ahead and strategic planning and mass gathering events. We meet with whoever is in charge of those events beforehand, two or 3 months out, and look at the number of people expected to attend. Police, fire, public works, we all sit down together and form a game plan. And usually, as you go year by year, you have some of those same events like the Mid-State Classic, the Christmas Parade. So the challenge this year for the parade is just it's a shorter area, and where the waiting line is for the parade will be North and South High Street.
Right.
So that's going to be a little logistic change there, but we've got about 95 entries. So
But I'm talking about on a daily basis as far as fire runs go, because that's
No,
got to be difficult to get up and down that area.
Yeah, but the way we work, and especially with police and fire, is we will, during an event like that where the street's closed off, we will place apparatus on both sides of the road.
Okay.
So there's no delay. And so far, even with Mule Day, we've had some events, some Mule Day parades where a fire has broken out. I can remember working one back in '99 at the furniture store right across from Station 1.
Yeah.
We had a mattress fire in the basement, and but we had an engine on that side of the parade route, and they were able to handle it. So we prepare for that. But I'll say this: if you have a good day like Mule Day or a nice night and a lot of people up at a Christmas parade, when you have a lot of people, things happen, and you have to prepare, and there is delay, and that's just part. It comes with the territory, and it also, just like tonight, coming here, there's still a lot of traffic on Trotwood and Nashville Highway. So we're seeing here in Columbia, just with the amount of people here, a lot more traffic than we saw 10, 15 years ago. So we have to plan for that as well, just during normal days.
Any idea about what they're going to do for Mule Day, or how is it going to go down Garden Street or
Ask
straight?
me that question about January, February.
Okay. All right. I'm just kind of, how I plan ahead, figure out where we're going to be.
Mule Day will be here before you know it.
Yeah,
too.
it will be.
6
Yeah.
months. So
That's right. Christmas is just around the corner. Don't forget your loved ones. So go early. Go shopping. Shop Murray County
Have you
first.
started shopping?
I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, put a fork in me. I'm done. On Tuesday, ESPN said that former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick will be given a private workout this Saturday in Atlanta. The NFL has requested all 32 clubs be invited to attend, and video of the workout and interview will be made available to all clubs. The one thing I heard about on sports this morning was the fact that how does that play for club personnel planning for Sunday's games? How impressed are they going to be to have to go watch Colin Kaepernick work out for someone who hasn't played in 3 seasons?
I would think, it won't be coaches there. It'll be, administrative assistants or whoever, somebody from the front office.
Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, like you said, they're going to have tape to take back home and evaluate that way. It's interesting.
Do you think he's still toxic? Because basically what they said was he was not protesting the United States, that his protest was against civil whatever. Mm-hmm. So does he have a chance? Would a team like the Titans be smart to pick him up? Because he obviously is a good player.
Yes. I mean, if he proves he can still play, and knowing what we know, I think somebody will take a chance on him and see. Because they don't have to invest that much to get him in their particular program. We probably don't know the whole story. We don't know exactly how he affected the locker room and all that. So I guess that's something those teams are going to have to decide.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever know the entire story of what was actually going on. But like Coach will say, or he knows, he doesn't have to have interest from all teams. All he has to do is impress one person, and they can go back and say, hey, this guy can play for us. Because ultimately in the NFL, if you can get it done, they're going to play you because somebody's job is on the line as far as GM, coaches, players. I think we kind of saw that. We've seen that lately with the Titans. Nobody really thought they were going to ever go away from Mariota, or it never felt that way. But I think Weber was starting to feel some of the pressure, and he made a change where he thought was best. So I think if somebody thinks that he can play and help their team win down the line, I think somebody will pick him up.
But what happened with the Titans? All of a sudden they decided, hey, let's give the ball to Henry, and he'll set up. He'll set it up.
Well, let's be honest.
He's consistently gaining, positive yards every time.
You can't understand the Titans ever, can you? That's the one thing we can all agree on. When we try to understand the Titans, we can't understand them. I think that's what's so frustrating about them. You got a 6'5", 270-pound running back that can run like he's 170. Give him 50 carries a game.
Because with the Chiefs, he beat their defense all day long. I mean, he wore them down to where it was like, we can't play anymore, guys. We're exhausted.
Well, the question to me is just how good or bad is the offensive line when you're talking about the offense, and is coaching doing all that coaching can do? Because if you look at their individual skill people, everybody that plays should be pretty effective.
Right.
I mean, all the receivers have reasons why they should stand out, with the exception of tight end being hurt. Drawing a complete blank. The older tight
Delaney
end,
Walker.
Walker, thank you. Mm-hmm. You got Henry. So there's a lot of offensive threats there. And trying to figure out why it hadn't been productive is pretty hard. Now, maybe they hit on part of that answer with Tannehill. There's still some things to be answered, though, or improved, like the offensive line. Because if everybody that's a skilled person is as productive as they can be, man, that would be
But then you've
really effective.
got a lineman like Taylor Lewan with this big $55 million contract and continues to make the same stupid penalties.
Yes, and that is. I mean, the Titans' offensive line is very well paid. They're one of the higher
$100
paid.
million.
Yeah, one of the higher paid. I don't know exactly where they rank, but they're up there. So that is obviously a disappointing part of that. But they definitely overall look like they played a whole lot better last Sunday.
Well, the best player on the team is the punter.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt that he's the best player on the
What
team.
did he do? 60 yards the other day?
I mean, it just routinely. Which I mean, I'm a punter. I'm a little biased, but well, let me rephrase that. Former punter.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he's unbelievable. But what really upsets me about Taylor Lewan is the last 3 games he's came out afterwards and apologized for how bad like, hey man, you're making $100 million or $55 million. Quit apologizing and just go play good.
Right.
But that's taking a cue from Mariota. Did the same thing
Right.
every game. I've got to play better. I've got to play better. And you're saying to yourself, well, when's it going to happen? You know, because you've got.
He missed the first 4 games.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he should be healthy and he should be fresh. He should have watched plenty of film.
I don't think healthy and fresh is a problem.
Right.
I think it's between the ears.
Could
You know,
be.
you don't walk up and shove a player after the play is over with. Everybody's going to see that.
Yeah, especially when you're 6'7", 350.
Exactly. Do you know who? And I just happen to have 2 things right here in front of me. Who is the highest paid player in the National Football League is?
I did know.
That's interesting.
Hold on, let's see.
It was the quarterback for the Raiders.
Derek Carr. Somebody's passed him.
Is it-
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, see,
Oh.
Yep.
he's
89.5 million.
$32 million a year.
Salary bonuses 80.5 million. And
Yeah, but-
endorsements of $9 million. So it's 89.5 is his total earnings.
It's about twice what I make teaching history in high school.
In April of 2019, Seahawks signed Wilson to a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that made him the NFL's highest paid player. 6-time Pro Bowler is the CEO of brand management at West to East Empire, which has spawned 2 production companies. Wilson, who was drafted by the Colorado Rockies in 2010, is an investor in Portland Diamond Project, which aims to bring an Major League Baseball team to Oregon. Wilson led the Seattle Seahawks to the team's first and only Super Bowl championship with the 2013-14 season, and that was the year that they beat Patriots, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Tom Brady, you know where he ranks?
He's about $30 million a year.
Pretty close,
I looked
35
at
million.
that. Believe it or not, I saw those the other day. They were on.
But
something I was
he's the
reading.
9th highest paid player,
Wow.
and he's got 6 Super Bowl rings.
But I believe, if I'm remembering right, he took a cut.
I think he did.
So
to
the line,
get-
so that
so
the
they
line could get more
somebody-
money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think they're about to get a tight end back. I believe Gronkowski is about to come out of
Well, I
retirement.
just happen to have a story on that too.
Very good. Good
heard
setup
that.
there.
Although Ron Gronkowski has now been retired for nearly 8 months, it sounds like the Patriots would welcome him back with open arms if the tight end decided to make a return to football. According to NFL.com, Patriots owner Robert Kraft told Gronk in March that he'd like to see the tight end come out of retirement in November to help New England for a potential playoff run. Tom Brady was actually asked about that report this week, and he gave a very interesting answer. At first, Brady seemed to be so much about the report that it could be inaccurate. I'm really good friends with Gronk. We have just a great relationship for 10 years, Brady said during an interview with WEEI in Boston. Just because things are reported doesn't necessarily mean they're always true. So he said, just for the record, I don't know, Brady said. Those are conversations I'm not privy to. So, but there has been talk that he would come back to
I think he has
play.
till week 13 or
Yeah.
something, somewhere around in
Yeah.
there. That would be a big get. That making a trade in November to get one of the best tight ends in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening more where you sign older players just for playoff situations.
Well, I think the first time we ever saw that was Brett Favre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 Jason Witten took a year off last year and came back this year. Speaking
Too
of,
bad that doesn't happen to old radio guys.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd love for that to happen to old radio guys. But
I think the wrong guy came out of the booth on Monday night, though. That was a struggle for me to watch Monday Night Football, just listening to those guys commentate.
I don't know what happened.
Well, it's just two guys that are not near as good as John Gruden was when he was on Monday night.
yeah.
I got you.
But Gruden's a natural at it.
He's awesome at it.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you somebody else has become a natural at it, too, is
Tony Romo,
yes.
he's very good. Yeah, he is very good.
I mean, he breaks it apart for you. And I had that attitude of, well, I'm not so sure that a former player first year in the booth is going to be able to do what Romo does. He studies.
Mm-hmm. He's
And
very
he's
good.
very good at what he does.
Yeah, he's got it. He breaks the game down. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I was impressed with him Sunday with the Titans game, watching it.
Yeah.
Before the game, talking about pros and cons of players. If you saw that,
Yeah. Yeah.
he does study it.
He knows. I mean, he is he knows the game, and he's able to break every play down.
Yep, he does well.
So, I'm impressed by
am
listening
too.
to that guy.
Question for you guys. I've got friends. We talk sports all the time. I've got older people that I talk with, and they all the time say that they don't like LeBron. This is not just a LeBron question. This is just about everybody, really.
Okay.
They don't like LeBron because they think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, and they don't like him, won't even watch him because they think Michael Jordan is. I'm like, so you're going to miss how great a player is because you like somebody and think they're the greatest player of all time. So you guys don't do that, right?
No,
Because that bothers me when people.
No, I mean,
Because I think
Michael
LeBron-
Jordan was the greatest in his time.
Right.
Wilt Chamberlain was the greatest in his time. But times change.
Right.
And so do the quality of the players.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's a great player. No doubt. Hands down. Much better than a lot of other players that have come along that claim to be. I mean, Kobe wasn't that great as far as I'm concerned. But, how do you decide a great player?
Absolutely.
You take a lot of them into account. Maybe they've got a great percentage. I look at it from a personality standpoint, and I look at it from how do you treat people. How do you treat that kid that's sitting there in the stands that is got those eyes on you, and do you treat him with respect? Do you go over? Do you sign an autograph? Do you help your community? Do you give back and that kind of stuff? Those are what makes great players.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the old Mean Joe Green Coca-Cola commercial with the kid in the tunnel, that kind of thing, and that's what makes a great player.
And I agree with what you're saying. I don't understand not watching somebody because somebody else said my guy is not the greatest. That doesn't make any sense. That'd be like, barbecue ribs are obviously the best. They're the best thing in the world to eat. Now, if you
From
like
his
steak,
green egg.
yeah. If you like steak, I'm still and you think steak's the best, I'm still going to eat steak
Oh, yeah.
when I get the chance. That's the kind of logic we're talking about.
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense. Like
Right.
Kobe was a great comparison. Like I've got friends who think Kobe Bryant is the greatest of all time, rightfully so, whatever you want to think, and say that LeBron is awful and overrated, not even a top 20 all-time player. I'm like, how do you do that? Just because you like something? Like, don't hate the guy so much that you're missing how awesome he is as a player.
Well, it's like Steph Curry. He's a great player.
I don't like him, but he's awesome. I don't like him, but he's a great player.
Exactly. But, he's a great – you can't deny what he does in the three-point land and runs his team. But
He has changed the game of basketball more than any player ever. Michael Jordan's changed it, but the way Steph Curry has shooting the basketball, he's changed it.
But Jordan also had Pippen.
Right.
He had the entire team.
Yeah.
That team would never have done what they did if it hadn't have been for all the other players that were around them.
The quote-unquote role players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you had to have those. You had to have the chief. Never forgot post-up man with Chief.
I saw a stat that was a Dennis Rodman stat on Twitter about 2 days ago, and it said the greatest run of a three-game run in history. 0 points the first game, 28 rebounds. Second game, 0 points, 32 rebounds. Third game, 0 points, 28 rebounds. And they said that's the greatest three-game stretch of any player in the history of the NBA. Wow. I think, and I want to say he took 2 shots in those 3 games combined. Wow. Shot clock was probably running
But
down.
obviously a great defensive player.
Yeah.
Wow.
He knew his role.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And accepted it.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was ever to that degree. I never would have guessed that.
But you know you had the Bulls against the Pistons. It was always
Bad boys.
knockdown, drag out, and it was always fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't watch those games much. Too young for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
No problem. Not a problem at all. Hey, random fact, I'm a 90s baby. 1990, July
Wow.
1st.
Wow.
I had a kid the other day ask me, said, Coach, man, when you turn 40? Well, got to get to 30 first, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I see your ID? There's no way you're not 30.
That's interesting.
Well, goodness gracious. There you go. I've got 135 and 131.
Oh, my.
Yep. But that's okay. I'm good with that.
I got one. It's almost 30.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went to college together.
Y'all were in college at the same time,
Yep.
weren't you?
Did you go to the same college?
No, he went to
No,
Tech.
I
Well, I'm
went to
talking
Tennessee
about
Tech.
Bryant. though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bryant, went to Chattanooga. He went to
Yeah.
Tennessee Tech. So what year did you graduate high school?
2008.
Wow.
2008.
Do you know how old that makes me feel?
Yeah, well, for me, he graduated high school just a few years before.
Got to see
I
my
got
daughter graduated 2005. Now that makes me feel old, Nick.
2008.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Wow.
I actually played at Tennessee Tech with Ryan Tillman.
Oh, okay.
Chris Harris, Tredarius Goff.
Chris Harris, without a doubt, the best kicker we ever
Yep.
had,
Yep.
hands down.
He was very good. But Tredarius, while I was there, Tredarius Goff was the only kid who ever came in as a true freshman and played significant snaps. He was unbelievable.
I wish you had seen him as a high school player.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, the state championship games had
Yeah.
just moved to Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
When I think so. Yeah, I think they were there for 3 years while I was there. So I did. I got to watch him a couple times in the state championship games.
Wow.
I think
Legendary.
if I'm not mistaken, was he not the most valuable player,
Yes.
offense and defense?
He was.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
was.
He
Probably
was.
the only time in the history.
I think
That's ever happened.
I think that's right. There might have been one other time. I can't remember for sure, but impressive.
Yep.
Mhm.
Very impressive.
I still talk to Trey D. Some.
Do you?
Yes. Some. Very good dude. Never
Yeah.
spoke. Never talked much in college.
Yeah.
Well, it's a funny story that goes along that we'll tell you about it. About how we always heard Trey D does his talking on the field. And we never really knew what that meant until we got a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. And Coach called the referee over and said, What?
Number
It's all
30.
yours, Vance.
He said number 30 is running his mouth. Which I don't know if I said this or not, but I would have been thinking, well, I got to see this.
Yeah.
Let me get out there on the field and watch him run his mouth one time, because I've never seen it. He was a senior. In fact,
Yeah.
I think it was the semifinals game.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a
Yes, sir.
big penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Trey
penalty.
D got a penalty for talking too much. That's
Unsportsmanlike conduct. On number 30.
One of the best athletes that I've ever seen.
Hands down. Hands down.
And had a motor to go with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm remembering right, talking about his freshman year at Tech, I believe he led the team in tackles that year. Of course, he was playing middle linebacker, but
Right.
And every special teams.
Yeah.
I mean, he hardly ever came off the field.
Well, guys, been a good show.
Yes, sir. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
everybody for coming. You're welcome. Nick
Glad I
Campbell,
could be a part of it.
Columbia Central High School head basketball coach. Target on his back. Pick number 1 in the district. Hey, just live up to it. It's all we
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
No pressure.
All right, we're out.